There is a huge trade incoming for the Vancouver Canucks. We got a wild report saying that Connor Garland may be on the move. We'll break this report down for you coming up on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we get into that, we just want to say, if you're one of the thousands of people watching that aren't subscribed, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, become a part of the Hat Trick HQ community. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic of the video here today, and that is Garland on the move. We got, as we see in this tweet from Kevin Weeks here, he says, I'm told with Connor Garland recently changing his representation and Vancouver's willingness to retain nearly 30% of his salary, there's some increased potential trade partners. And as we take a look at Garland's contract here, he is making $4.95 million over the next 3 seasons, including this one. So I think this is a very movable contract that Vancouver could free up. But as we take a look at Connor Garland's stats here, from last year, he did play 81 games with 46 points, and the year previous, he played 77 with 52 points. Mark, obviously Connor Garland is a great player. He has been a notable player in the NHL, notable top 6 guy in the league for quite some time now. And at only 27 years of age, I think trading this guy now would get their biggest return.
Yeah, that's the thing too. You see this team willing to retain 30% of his cap. I think that's just under 1.8 million, I think it comes off. So a team trading for him does get a player that's a little gritty. He's not the biggest player. He's not going to lay massive hits or anything, but he can get under your skin a bit. This is a guy that we've seen the Canucks get. I think it was just under 100 points in the previous 2 years. So it's a guy that can put up offense. But it's one of these situations where the Canucks almost need a change. This guy was playing well for the Canucks, but I think both sides do kind of want to move on from this. The big thing is, too, you need a guy with this team that you could put into the top 6 that could maybe put out a little more offense, or if you clear this contract just for a couple picks or prospects or just anything at all, you could fill out your bottom 6 with a couple of guys, use the saved money of, just say, the 3.8 million to go out, look for a bigger fish to get. And overall, I think the Canucks win. And I think the team that gets them will get them. That'll be a win for them as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think with, like you said, 1.8 coming off, that would leave him with about around 3.1 million over 3 years. So I think that's a pretty good deal for Connor Garland. He's a good top 6 guy that can slide into your lineup and really adjust quickly. And I think he could just, have a breakout year maybe, or even he's been consistent his whole career. He could really bolster a team's top 6 that's kind of in need of a winger right now. But we'll take a look at Vancouver if he's not available, because I really do think Vancouver is still in good shape if they do move him. As we take a look here, it would look like Anthony Beauvillier and Niels Hoglander would take that second line winger role, and obviously Brock Besser and Kuzmenko would be their top line wingers. But Mark, I know that your second team is the Vancouver Canucks. I know you do follow the Vancouver Canucks. What do you think about a Connor Garland trade? Possibly, do you think this would leave the team in great standard?
See, this is the thing too. Like I said, you free up this cap space. You could go out maybe at deadline or in recent if you wanted to go out and get a guy next week or in this trade. So it really depends on what you're looking for. I know when they acquired Anthony Beauvillier, he kind of fills the role of what you get from Garland. He's kind of this two-way guy. Garland, not so much, but they're going to have almost the same output. So I think the biggest thing the Canucks should look for here is maybe going to a team offering Garland as cap space and offering a few other things to get a guy that's a legitimate top 6 guy, or if they wanted to kind of take the back seat for a tiny bit this year, run what they have now, they can move Garland for maybe a pick, prospects. We're not really sure his full value here yet, but you get that, and like I said, you do clear up this 3 million that can help you actively look for the next guy, extend a couple guys, and overall I think the Canucks are going to end up moving him, and I think it's a big thing if they do.
Yeah, definitely. I could definitely see them moving him, and I do really think that they would still win a couple of games or a lot of games with him still not in the lineup. I think, like you said, Anthony Beauvillier would be a great guy to step up in the lineup. Like you said, kind of has a similar output in regards to point total, and when you move him up there on that second line, that could just jump up a bit, and he could have a great year. But I do really think that they do need to move this cap space in order to, be successful in the future, get their guys back and stuff like that. And that's what we're going to talk about here now, which is why this needs to happen. And as we take a look here at some expiring contracts, obviously Elias Pettersson is the big one. He's an RFA RFA after this year, so you do really need to dish out a little bit of money to keep him there as well. But some other notables here, obviously, like we just talked about, Anthony Beauvillier, Teddy Bluger, Joshua Dakota as well, Tyler Myers. I know Vancouver Canucks fans wouldn't mind seeing him go, but we also got like Philip Hronek is RFA as well, and the list goes on and on here. But Mark, when you free up around like $3.1 million in cap space, I think that gives you the wiggle room to kind of throw it all at Elias Pettersson this offseason.
Yeah, that's a big thing. You kind of see all these contracts coming off the books. So I think with the money, just say Tyler Myers 6 mil off. I'm not sure if he's coming back. I know a lot of Canucks fans really hate this guy, but overall, I think this is a thing where you could use Tyler Myers' money to kind of give Pedersen his much overdue contract. He's a great player. I think he's one of the best centers in the league. But I think the big thing this year, I know they kind of want to fill out more scoring. I mean, we've seen yesterday where they played the Flyers. We've seen Demko make 40 something saves and they lost 2-0. So the scoring is a big thing, but the problem is the defense hasn't been incredible in front of Demko either. So you don't know if they're maybe going to use this cap space to maybe go acquire a defenseman, maybe acquire a new forward to fill out the top six or middle six. So it'll just be kind of interesting to see what route they take, if this is going to be a win now kind of move. I mean, they have JT Miller, Pedersen, who needs to be signed. They've got like Demko. The defense is a little washy sometimes, but overall, this is a team that should be competing to make the playoffs. Maybe a team that can win a round or two. But overall, I think there's a few pieces they need to do, and I think moving Garland for another player is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think we could even potentially see him maybe move for a D-man if they can get the right return for Garland. But I do really think that freeing up this cap space will really help them as well. Like you said, Pedersen is one of the best centermen in the entire NHL. Really underrated, I think, in my opinion. I think the Vancouver Canucks have a really good roster, and I think they should be contending for a playoff spot this year. But I think, like you said, when you free up this cap space, I know Pedersen and I mean other European players are kind of laid back when it comes to contract negotiations. We're seeing it in Toronto right now with Nylander. So I know during this offseason he did say that he wasn't really worried about it. It'll get done when it gets done. I know a lot of European players had that same kind of mindset. But I do really think if you're Vancouver, you really need to throw everything in the kitchen sink at him to get him back and sign to a long-year deal because he's, like we said, he's one of the best centermen in the league. He's probably the best, or definitely the best player on your team, and he's a great leader. I think you need to have this guy for the future to Vancouver Canucks to be successful.
Yeah, the big thing is when you look at the Canucks, you have your number one center who is incredible. I think, like I said, Pedersen's one of the league's best. You have a guy like Quinn Hughes, which is your franchise defenseman, if you want to put it in those terms, and a guy like Demko, who's overlooked at times because I think Demko is one of the best guys in the league between the pipes. The big thing is he does get left out to dry. Sometimes they lose games, like I said, to the Flyers 2-0. But you have a guy at each position that you are comfortable with. Kuzmenko's another guy who plays on the wing that I think was incredible last year, and he's poised for a good year. Hoglander looks good. And you still have guys like Pavelier and JT Miller that are going to make this impact. So it kind of makes you wonder if they're going to go into the situation of maybe we kind of retool a tiny bit throughout the year, or if this is going to be an all-out move where they use this money, this cap space, a couple picks, just to overdo what they should be doing.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. I think, there's a few destinations that they've been rumored about right now. One is Chicago, one is, I believe, Columbus and Winnipeg. I do really think these are probably the best options. I think these clubs, especially Winnipeg, are looking for wingers right now, especially Winnipeg just losing Gabe Vilardi. I think this move would be huge for them. And obviously Chicago, you'd like to have someone good up there with Connor Bedard to kind of, get him going a little bit. I think if you threw Garland in with Connor Bedard right now, I think you'd see his game elevate just a little bit.
Yeah, the thing with Columbus too, it's an interesting team. I know they have a lot of defensemen, and I kind of talked about the route of maybe the Canucks want to go get a more stay-at-home, physical kind of defenseman. And Pelech, I think it's Pelech, is a guy that looks interesting. He was a negative 41 last year. I mean, I don't like looking at plus minus because you have a player on a bad team, they're going to be a negative. So that kind of situation. But he's a big guy. He's aggressive. He can hit. He can block. So that'd be kind of an interesting thing. Maybe Columbus wants to add another forward, clear out a couple defensemen, and works for both teams.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I'm gonna back you there. I think plus minus doesn't matter when it comes to defensemen because if you're playing on Arizona and your plus minus is in the trenches, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't determine how good of a defenseman you are. It's just a little ramble there, but I do really think that Connor Garland should be moved from Vancouver just to free up this cap space or get a defenseman in return. But we'd like to hear from you guys, you Vancouver Canucks fans tuned into this video right now. What do you think about Connor Garland being moved from your team? Let us know down below. And what are some destinations that you'd like to see him go to, and what are some returns you'd like to see? We'd love to hear from you down below. But we're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Top Shot. He says, great video, keep up the energy. Shout out to you, thanks for your support, I really appreciate it. We love seeing all your guys' comments down below, so like I said, make sure to go down, comment down below. We love to hear from you guys. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers, so we really appreciate if you went down, hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoy the NHL, make sure to watch this video popping up on your screen right now. But I've been KC, alongside my co-host Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.